everyone. My name is Joanna Fabicon, and I'm the Children's Services Manager for the Los Angeles Public Library.
Hello, and I'm Christine Chai. I'm the Children's Librarian at Oriaseco Branch of the Los Angeles Public Library. And it's our pleasure to welcome you to today's Your Author program featuring writer Helena Ku Rhee as she discusses her new book, Sora's Seashells. Oh, here it is. So feel free to use the chat box to send in your questions and comments for our author, and they'll be answered toward the end of the program. Also, don't forget to email ecdept@lapl.org, it's right down there, for your chance to be entered into an opportunity drawing to win a copy of today's book.
We want to thank our generous donors, the Lenore S and Bernard A. Greenberg Fund, as well as the Library Foundation, and our amazing behind-the-scenes staff for helping the library bring these author and illustrator programs to you virtually. Thank you all so very much. We would also like to recognize and acknowledge the first people of this land. We recognize and acknowledge their elders, past and present, as well as their descendants. For more information on which territory you may reside, check out native-land.ca.
All right, now on to today's Your Author program. So the Los Angeles Public Library is proud to present author Helena Ku Rhee as she discusses her new children's book, Sora's Seashells, which is a very beautifully illustrated book. Tells an intergenerational story of kindness and confidence, loss, remembrance, and it will be relatable to any child who has been made to feel different. This story, told by Helena Ku Rhee and illustrated by Stella Lim, based on art by Ji-Hyuk Kim, speaks to the prevailing power of kindness and will resonate with anyone who's been made to feel different. So let's bring our author on.
Hi, everyone. Oh, it's so good to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I just wanted to take a few moments to thank the Los Angeles Public Library, the Library Foundation of LA, the Greenberg Fund, and the staff, and of course, the lovely librarians at the library. I would not be an author today if not for the librarians and teachers who directed me to all the great books when I was a kid. So truly a heartfelt thank you. I'm really happy to be here. And I'm going to be talking to you about my newest book, Sora's Seashells. So I think we can just jump to the slides. Sora's Seashells. So here is the front cover. And if you look at it closely, you'll see that my name is at the bottom, as well as two names as well. And the librarian mentioned that the names are Stella Lim and Ji-Hyuk Kim. And a lot of people ask me, why did you select them to be the artists for this story? And the answer is, I actually didn't select them. It was the publishing company, the company that makes books, who selected Stella and G. And the reason why is because they are both experts at watercolor. If you look at the front image, you see the two main characters, Sora and her grandmother. And the illustration shows a beautiful seaside view. And watercolors, if you've ever worked with them, they're perfect for painting the ocean, because all you need is just a little touch of paint, you add water, and suddenly, voila, a lot of water can be painted, and sand too. Next slide. So I'll read you the story, just part of it. Sora's grandmother Harmony visited from far away every summer. The day after she arrived, they took the bus to the beach, where they combed the shore for seashells together. This was actually a favorite activity of mine. Growing up here in Los Angeles, when my parents and I first immigrated to LA, I was almost 2, and we didn't have a lot of money at that time. But what was wonderful about being in Los Angeles was the access to nature. We went to the beach nearly every weekend because you don't need a lot of money to enjoy the beach. You can build sand castles, go swimming, dip your toes in the water, look for seashells, maybe buy a hot dog or cotton candy, and all you need are a few dollars. So we used to go to the beach really frequently. Next slide. They found shells with pale pink lines, others with smooth white ridges. Some were as big as Sora's hand, others as tiny as a button. And before I came here, the librarians and I were chatting about how cool seashells are. One of the librarians had a gift of seashells from the Philippines, and I had actually discovered that seashell collecting was a favorite hobby of cave people. So when you go to the ocean and you pick up a beautiful shell, that same shell might have been picked up thousands of years ago by a caveman or a cave woman. Next slide. Harmony chose the prettiest shell and tucked it into her pocket. Look at that gorgeous seascape. Again, Stella and G did a magnificent job with the watercolors. And a lot of people ask me, why did you use the word harmony? If you say the word harmony to yourself, harmony, harmony, you just spoke Korean. It means grandmother in Korean. And that's why I left a Korean word in the book, because I wanted people to experience saying a Korean word to themselves. And harmony is the word I used to call my two grandmothers when I was little. So yes, that's why I left it. Next slide. On their walk to the bus stop, Harmony placed the shell on a bench. Why did you leave the shell there? Sora asked. Can't we take it with us? It's a gift, Harmony said, for anyone who sees its beauty. Sora glanced back at the shell. She wanted to take it home, but she followed Harmony onto the bus. So when I was little, my parents and I, we went to all the different beaches around LA and even Orange County. Santa Monica, Malibu, and all the way down to Laguna Beach. And there was a beach in Laguna where you actually had to walk down a stairwell to reach the sand. And every time I went down, nearly every time, there was this beautiful shell that somebody had left behind on the last step. And of course, I took it home with me. But then the next time we went to the same beach, again, there was a beautiful shell on that last step. And I realized somebody is leaving it as a gift for other people. So maybe I'll leave it there for somebody else to find too. So then I started leaving it there. And that's how I got the inspiration for this scene right there, where Harmony leaves the seashell on the bench. Next slide. When they went back to the beach the next day, the shell was gone. Harmony, Sora said. Someone took our shell. It wasn't ours. It was a gift, Harmony said. Sora did not agree, but she didn't say anything. Instead, she decided to hide some seashells in her pockets when Harmony wasn't watching. Ooh, now Sora has a secret. Okay, next slide. By the time Harmony left, Sora had a jar full of shells. I love the way the illustrators created this page, because Sora's room is like the dream room, the type of room I dreamed about having when I was a kid. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment in Koreatown in Los Angeles, and we lived in a one bedroom, so I didn't have my own bedroom. Instead, I shared the bedroom with my parents. My little bed was in one corner. Their bed was in another corner. And so when I wanted some alone time to read a book or to play with my toys without my parents interrupting, I would actually go inside this closet. It had a light and it was pretty empty. We didn't have much stuff. And so I would go in there for hours with the light on to read and to just have me time. So I always dreamed about having a room like Sora's with a play tent in the background, framed images and books on the shelf, and a crate full of toys. Wow, that was my dream room. Okay, next image. A few weeks later, Sora began kindergarten. Most of the kids were nice, but a few were not. One said, "Your name is weird." Another said, "Are you sure your name isn't Sarah?" Sora tried to ignore them, but her stomach hurt every time. I really admire the way the illustrators created this page, because a lot of people think that when you write a story, that you are the one telling the artist how to make the characters look. But that's not true at all. All of these characters came out of the illustrator's own imaginations. Sure, they asked me if I like the way Sora is portrayed, or if the classroom looks like the type of classroom I might have attended school at. They asked me questions like that, but for the most part, they were the ones who decided what the kids should be wearing, what they should look like, their ethnicity, their hair, everything, every little detail. And so when I saw the sketch for this page, I was amazed, because that diversity reflects the diversity that I saw growing up here in Los Angeles. So I thought that was really neat. Next. She didn't say anything to her parents, but every week the same kids teased her. And if anybody in the audience is thinking about becoming an artist in the future, this is a really interesting study. Sora's room now is blue. It looks sad because it reflects Sora's mood. And that's something that you can do as an artist. You can use colors, you can use shadows to reflect a character's mood. So I think this page is so effective in capturing how Sora is feeling. Next. One day, a call came from far away with sad news about Harmony. Okay, so the characters are really, really sad at this moment. Sora's mom lost her own mother, Harmony, and Sora's sitting on the stairs just looking at her parents, feeling really sad. But again, as an artist, you can kind of control the mood that your audience is feeling, because look at this room here. It's still very light and bright. And if you look back beyond the dining table, if you pick up a copy of this book at your local library, you'll see images of the family on the wall. And there's actually a photo of Harmony on the wall too. So with those images and with the light and brightness of the room, there's still a sense of hope. The memory of Harmony is still there, even though she may be gone. Okay, next slide. Sora's parents explained that Harmony was never coming back. Sora thought of all the summers ahead without her grandmother. She remembered how Harmony would say her name with a soft S and a gently rolled R. She felt sad about everything, including the mean kids at school. So I'll stop here for a second to explain something. When I say the word Sora in English, it sounds like that, Sora. But when you actually say the word Sora in Korean, it sounds like this, Sora, Sora, with a soft S and a gently rolled R, Sora. And you'll learn in a second what it means. All the bottled up tears began flowing. I want to see Harmony, Sora cried, and I hate my name. I want to be Sarah. Okay, next. Sora's parents looked at her and at each other. Then the three of them went to the beach. I love this spread. A spread is 2 pages glued together. So I love this spread because this represents one of my strongest memories with my parents, driving to the beach. In Los Angeles, we spend a lot of time in our cars. And in order to drive from Koreatown to Santa Monica Beach or Malibu, or even all the way up to Ventura County, we would spend hours in the car along the coastline. So this spread really evokes a lot of childhood memories to me. And even now, whenever I'm feeling a little sad or a little stressed, guess where I go? That's right, I go to the beach. I always feel so much better when I feel the ocean breeze on my face and I smell all the scents by the sea. It just makes me feel like a warm, comforting feeling, simply because I think I used to experience this a lot as a kid growing up here in LA. Okay, next slide. They walked down to the shore. After a little while, Sora's mother picked up the most beautiful shell. It had pale pink stripes and smooth ridges, just like Harmony's favorite. Sora means seashell in Korean, her mother said. Harmony always said, finding a perfect shell is like receiving a wonderful gift. That's why she suggested we name you Sora. Sora's parents held her close. You're our greatest gift, Sora. Wow, so now Sora understands the meaning of her name. Sora means seashell in Korean. So now readers who read the story will know that Harmony means grandmother in Korean and Sora means seashell in Korean. You've learned 2 words in Korean. And I'm going to actually stop reading the book here. There are a few more slides still, but I'm going to stop reading the book here because what happens next, I would love for you to discover. If you pick up a book at the library, you'll see that Sora goes back to school. But now something has changed. She has new knowledge about what her name means. So you'll see how she deals with the bullies at school. And what I love about the next few pages are the expressions of the kids who start to learn what Sora's name means. And boy, when you look at the expressions of the bullies, I think you might feel a little bit sympathetic towards them. So I will go to the next slide. And this is actually the ending image of the book. Sora and her parents are back at the beach, and you'll see something surprising Sora does right before you arrive at the end. And she's picking up seashells at the beach, just like she used to do with Harmony. So even though Harmony's gone, she's not really gone. She's still in Sora's memories, in her actions. Harmony has defined her life, just like the people who love you do and whom you love do. You are defined by the people who you love. And also the things you tell yourself over and over again, they do kind of define your life. Your words have power. And so your name has power too. Sora means seashell because Harmony said finding a seashell is like receiving a wonderful gift. Sora understands that she is like a gift for the people who love her. Next slide. So I wanted to tell you a bit about my name. Before my name was Helena, it was actually a different name. It was this name. I'm sure it looks kind of difficult to pronounce, right? It's pronounced Hae-yoon. Hae-yoon. It was my Korean name. So when I stepped into kindergarten, I only had the name Hae-yoon. I did not have Helena. And I remember some teachers had a hard time pronouncing it, especially because of the way it's spelled. And also some kids made fun of it. And I remember one day I was wearing my favorite outfit and I was walking across the school playground with some of my friends. And suddenly I heard someone yell out, "Hey, you, hey, you." And I turned and I realized that person was talking to me. And then some kids started laughing. And that may not sound too bad. I mean, hey, yoon, hey, you, it's not too different. But when you hear, hey, you, yelled at you every single day, and kids laughing about your name, it doesn't feel too good. And so I told my parents, Mom, Dad, Oma, Appa, I want a new name. I really don't want to be Hae-yoon anymore. And there was a girl in my building named Helen. And so I thought, okay, H, Hae-yoon, Helen, they both start with an H. Why can't I be Helen? And my parents said, well, there's already a Helen in our apartment building, so we'll add an A and you can be Helena. That's how I became Helena. And so one day my dad said, I don't think I ever explained to you what your name means. And actually, I didn't know what my Korean name meant. And he said that my Korean name means intelligence and grace. And they named me Hae-yoon when I was born because the tiger is one of my dad's favorite animals. He actually has a huge poster of a tiger hanging in his home because he loves tigers that much. And so they named me Hae-yoon, which means intelligence and grace, because those are the characteristics of a tiger. And after I heard that, I thought, okay, my name is pretty cool. So now I use Hae-yoon as my middle name, and my first name is Helena. Next slide. So a lot of people ask me, what are some of the themes in your books? And a lot of the themes come from my childhood, actually. And in this particular book, in Sora Seashells, I wanted to address three things. My name, Helena, the fact that I'm Korean American. And if you look at this photo, that's me with my cousin. My cousin Louise was a few years older than me, and she's part Korean American, part African American. I remember sometimes we'd be walking along the street together and people would say, "Are you best friends?" And we'd say, "Yes, we are. And we're also cousins." Some people didn't believe us, but in fact, we are cousins because she's the daughter of my dad's sister. And I also wanted to address how much I love the beach. That's a photo I took in Hawaii recently with Sora seashells on the sand. I put some shells around it to make it look cool. Next slide. I talk about those similar themes in the essays that I write for adults. Like this is a recent essay I wrote for the Los Angeles Times about how the LA riots impacted my interracial family. And there's my cousin Louise and me again. And yeah, a lot of my childhood experiences influence all of my writing, not just my children's book, but even my essays. Next slide. If you'd like to read about more about my books, my work, or even look at more photos of my dog Sherwin as a puppy up there in the right in the corner, please do visit my website. And yeah, now I would love to address any questions.
Thank you, Helena, for sharing the beautiful book and taking us through what was going on in the pictures behind the scenes.
My pleasure.
I feel like you answered so many questions, but also generated more. So
Sure.
I wanted to invite, we have some questions too, but I wanted to also take this time to address the audience, everyone watching out there live. If you have a question or a comment, feel free to type it down, and we will convey that question to Helena.
Yeah.
There is a comment already. I don't know if you saw.
I see it. Yeah. From Jacqueline. Yeah.
Loves to dip, her 5-year-old loves to dip my feet in the water even when it's cold.
Me too. Sometimes it feels really refreshing.
Okay, well, I'll get the question started, but before I do, I just want to say, as a Korean American myself, I just love this story so much. And while you were talking, I was thinking about my own Harmony and tearing up because I missed her. So
yeah, I totally understand.
Reminded me of her. And so you did mention how the beach scene was influenced by your own childhood, but overall, how did you talk? Can you talk about how you came up with the idea of this book?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of explore what it would be like if a child defended her own name against bullies, because that's something I didn't do. I didn't defend my name against the bullies, unfortunately, but I wanted to explore what happens and how it might happen that a girl who's very courageous steps in front of the bullies, and if you read the book, you'll see how she addresses their bullying. So yeah, that was probably the main reason why I wrote the book. And also, we have such a richness of diversity in our city that people have names from all over the world, and I actually think it's really cool and it should be celebrated. So I wanted to write about that too.
Yeah, that's so important. I was thinking of my own childhood too. I mean, my name is Christine, but my family called me by my Korean name. So I remember being bullied because somebody heard it.
Yeah. What's your Korean name?
My Korean name is Jian.
Jian, yeah.
So
I love that name.
Yeah. Jana, did you have a question?
I do, but I also wanted to share more of the comments too. This line of conversation definitely struck a nerve too with our audience. We have, thank you also both for sharing your story. Carrie M struggled with a Korean name and identity as a child. And this is a story that she definitely wants to share with her own daughter. So
I love that.
So beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. That's the power of books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Connection. I love that.
Absolutely. So going from names to what Sora does and with her harmony and collecting the shells. Do you collect seashells with your family? And you mentioned these are the shells from the Philippines that I collected with my family.
I love that you put them in a little beautiful jar. Yes, and I do collect seashells. I mean, what a wonderful thing to do, right? It's Earth's gift. And people know that I collect shells, and these are a couple of shells that I received. Look at this tiny starfish. Isn't that neat? Beautiful. The front and back. And then this is actually what is an actual Sora in Korean. This is representative of that word. It's so neat. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it the specific spirally one?
Yeah. Uh-huh. And they make pastries actually, and it's called Sora bread, I think, Sorapang or something like that. They make pastries filled with cream shaped like this. It's much bigger. It's bigger. But yeah, it's so neat.
Oh, cool.
Cool. All right, so long as we're comparing shells, I like the color of this one and the
that is gorgeous.
And then when I was reading the book, I was just reminded, especially I imagined this shell, but with the pink ridges.
Yes, exactly. Those were Harmony's favorites in this story.
Love it. Thank you.
Sorapang. Yeah, someone wrote sorapang. Yeah, that's what the bread pastries are called that are shaped like this with cream, custard cream in the middle.
That was my next question. I'm like, what are they filled with?
Yeah, custard cream. They're delicious.
Okay, so this talk makes me want to go to the beach, and I'm also hungry now too.
Get some pastries
Yeah.
at your local Korean bakery.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So can you give some advice for situations of feeling different, like Sora did in the book, for
Yes.
our listeners today?
Yes, I will share what always makes me feel better. So it's nice to remember that you're not alone. So many people face a little bit of bullying in their lives. And, unfortunately, the world is full of different types of people, including mean people, judgmental people. So the question is, how are you going to handle difficult moments in your life? Will you get your revenge? Will you be mean back? Or will you be kind? Will you ignore them? So it's a question about how you deal with it, right? So you just have to remember that bullying will not last forever. Your life will change. And also, sometimes the bullies are hurting inside too. That's why they're being so mean, because somebody has been mean to them, or they're hurting inside about something. So, I mean, it's so hard in the moment when you're the target of some bullying to keep cool and keep calm. And I personally have kind of a hot temper. I mean, it takes a long while for it to be triggered, but once it gets triggered, oh my goodness. So I have to work on that myself. So those are the things that I would say. Do you have any advice?
I would say similarly, just keep cool. Remember that this is just one moment in your life.
Yeah, it's just one moment in your life. Yeah, it won't always be like that. Mhm.
And I think also that's the beauty of this book and all books. When you first said, we're not alone, seeing that Sora experienced this, and you talked about your experiences as well, what that grew from. Like everyone experiencing that is not alone. But yes, I tend to have a short temper too. So I usually react to bullies a little bit hotter and angrier than you'll find that Sora did and how she dealt with the situation. So I'm so glad that what this story shows is another way. And it's actually
Yeah,
so.
exactly. And that is why I wrote the story. I wanted to explore a different sort of personality, because I'm not like Sora.
No,
I get really mad.
I'm not, but when I read things like that, I want to be.
Yes, same here. Same here.
So, you talked about going to the beach. Is there a place other than the beach that you like to get away, to relax or heal, etc.?
Yes, we're so lucky here in Los Angeles because nature is all around us. And nature for me is so healing, as I am sure it is for a lot of audience members. So, hiking, of course, going to the beach. A lot of Los Angeles streets have big, lush trees. So, even just walking around the neighborhood, it can be so rejuvenating. And in terms of vacations, I've recently been so enamored and in love with Hawaii, especially the Big Island, because there's so much amazing sea life to discover there. We've gone snorkeling with dolphins and turtles and manta rays. It's just amazing. So, yes, it's always nature for me. How about for you? Is it the same, or concerts? Going to concerts or anything like that? I know I have friends who go to concerts and they find energy and healing that way, just by dancing and singing, but that's not me. I need to go somewhere quiet with no people.
I tend to vary. Sometimes I find myself, this is actually strange. I remember that I'm a member of one of the theme parks a few years back, and one of my favorite things to do was just to go into the theme park, sit at a table at a restaurant with my journal, and just still have that time to myself. but surrounded with just families having fun and fun food and the special effects. So it was cool to be able to have that moment in a make-believe restaurant, but still find that moment of quiet.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
This is such a librarian answer, but just read a book. Just
absolutely.
Deep into a book. That's what I need to do to like get away.
Yeah.
In my room, be in bed, read a book.
Such a great escape. Yeah, for sure.
And it looks like also Lena was also sharing that she loves to go for walks with her harmony. And she also tells her teacher about bullies that show up in the parks and school. So I'm glad you don't react so like angrily like I would. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, and I see a great note from Tim and from Carrie. Thank you so much for chiming in. Representation. Yep, that's the important part of books too, right? We see windows and mirrors, a window into another person's life, but also a mirror reflecting our own experiences and perhaps faces, which is so cool.
Yeah, well, that actually reminds me when I got my copy of the book and I pulled it out of the packaging and I just see this little Asian girl with glasses, and I'm like, oh, it's me.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So I didn't even read it yet, but I was just like, I feel this connection just from seeing a girl in glasses.
That's amazing. And I'll have to pass that along to Stella and Ji, since they were the ones who designed the character of Sora, and they did such a beautiful job.
Yeah, I really love the illustrations.
Me too.
Actually, can you tell us about the process of illustrations? I know you weren't the illustrator, but if you know something.
Yeah, sure. So yes, the publishing company hired the illustrators. Our publishing company is Candlewick Press, because they both actually are great at drawing the seaside and doing watercolors. And so what happens is that when I write my manuscript, I sell it to a publishing company. And then the publishing company puts together a list of potential illustrators, and they narrowed down on Stella and Ji because of the reasons I just told you. And so after that, picture books are considered half my contribution and half the illustrator's contribution. So they don't want me giving too many opinions about what the art should look like. So the artists get to do their own part without my interference. But if they have some questions for me, like, do you think Harmony would look this way? Or how does Sora look? They'll ask me. So I got several emails from the illustrators asking for my input, which I really appreciated. But they did such a phenomenal job that I just said, you know what? You're the pros. You do you. Yeah.
So is this fact that Sora has glasses, was that your contribution to theirs?
That was the illustrators. Yeah. And they were the ones who decided that Sora should be part Korean American and part white. So they're the ones who made that decision, which I thought was a really great one, because you don't see a lot of characters like this in a lot of books. So I thought it was great.
Wonderful. And I really loved when you went through the story, how you read the story that the picture were and illustrations were telling as well, like the sadder tones, the lighter tones that show that's hope, there's hope. And yeah, absolutely all picture books are just this wonderful collaboration and creation between words and the art. For sure.
Yes. And speaking of art, I actually practice art just as relaxation. And so I pay attention to what illustrators are doing simply because I just love art. And so one of my favorite aspects of writing picture books is the moment that the sketches come in. It's so moving to see your characters come to life. So I really appreciate artists and illustrators.
Oh, that must be an amazing moment when you see
it. It is. I usually get a little teary-eyed because it's like, oh my goodness, my characters seem so real when they're drawn.
So back to speaking of characters, do you have a grandparent or grandparent figure in life that inspired or influenced you, just like Sora does?
Yes, my halmoni in Korea was the one who was always so kind to me because we didn't see each other all too often. It's interesting because I had one very sweet halmoni and one halmoni here in the US who is actually rather strict. I sometimes got the impression my halmoni here in the US didn't like me very much. Whereas my halmoni in Korea, she just adored me. She bought my favorite foods or she would make them. And so I lost her early on in life. And I remember my mom had to fly to Korea when my halmoni passed away. And it was very sudden. So my mom went by herself. And it was just a really sad time. And when I think about memories of my halmoni, though, I just get this warm, very comforting feeling. And I'm sure it's the same way for both of you too, and audience members too. Those memories are just so precious. And I was thinking about her as I was writing this book for sure.
Let's see. It is Asian Pacific Heritage Month, which the library is celebrating. So what are some API authors or illustrators or books featuring API heritage that you enjoy?
Oh, wow. This is a good question. And I'm always afraid to accidentally leave out some friends' books, but I will mention some. In the kids space, this is a beautiful book written by my friend Han Bui, illustrated by Minnie Fan. The Yellow Ao Yai, I think it's pronounced in Vietnamese. It's just so charming. And then also, speaking of AAPI creators, my book, The Turtle Ship, was illustrated by Colleen Savage. It's on the shelf there. And she will have her own picture book illustrated and authored by her coming out next year. I think it's called Piano Plays or something like that. She does phenomenal paper collage. And I've also been reading, maybe both of you have read this book too. It's so gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. It's so beautiful. And then I'm also reading Yellowface by Rebecca Kwong, RF Kwong, I think. It's really, really good, very gripping. So there are so many that it's hard for me to pinpoint. There are just so many good books, and the library is filled with treasures, everyone. So please do spend time at the library. And your librarian can direct you to books that capture your interests. If you're interested in dragons like I am, or if you're interested in seaside settings, your librarians can tell you where those books are.
Thanks. We do our best.
Yeah.
Yes. And thank you. Those are definitely some titles that are going to be added to my to-do list. Mm-hmm. I wanted to share some more comments that I've seen. Carrie M talked about her family too, and seeing the family like the one depicted in your book is such a big deal. Her 7-year-old daughter is noticing details like this. Like
wow.
I think like we forget that. We forget how much we actually do notice as children.
Oh, absolutely. And some of those things that you notice as a kid, you carry with you into your adulthood, which is why I find it to be such a privilege and kind of a scary thing to write for kids, because they're just soaking everything up right now. And so they could remember your book or something that you say for the rest of their lives. So it's a tremendous honor and a responsibility too.
We take that responsibility. We don't take that responsibility lightly as well as librarians, in making sure that we're recommending the right book at the right time for the readers.
It's such important work.
Yeah. Oh, J. Kim also misses her halmoni. So
yeah, I totally hear you. And yes, please do enter for a copy of Sora Seashells. Thanks to the Library Foundation, they're giving away dozens of copies, which is so generous.
Well, you mentioned this in your last slide, and I think it's worth repeating because just from the comments, it seems like you're getting some new fans here. How do they contact you? Social media, email?
Yeah, I'm most active on Instagram in terms of social media. And if you go to my website, you have all my info there, and you'll see lots of fun things that I wrote and, ways to contact me. So yes, please do go to my website.
Ooh, Let's see. Let's take some of these questions too. If you have questions, feel free to add them to the chat. We have a very tech influenced one. I know. Well, do you see with artificial intelligence, do you see AI influencing children's books as well?
Yes, absolutely. I heard of an instance where a gentleman wrote and illustrated an entire children's book with AI, and he self-published it. And a lot of people were upset about that because it definitely undermines the work that goes into actually getting a book published the traditional way. And so, yeah, it's a threat. I think it's a threat to the movie industry, the publishing industry, a lot of different industries. I know of a radiologist, a doctor, who's afraid that AI will be eliminating his job in the future. So it's something very concerning, artificial intelligence. I mean, I feel like it's a cool tool in many ways, but it's also quite scary because I don't think we know how to rein it in quite yet. So we'll see. But at the same time, please support your local library and the wonderful books that are there, because people put hours and hours into writing and drawing them to make the best quality content that there could be for you and for your kids and people you know.
Yeah. We have a question, another question. What is your favorite beach in Korea?
Ooh, what is my favorite beach in Korea? So my parents and I, up until I was almost 2, we lived in Kunsan, which is a seaside village. But I love the island of Jeju. It's a tiny little island towards the south of southern tip of Korea, which is a peninsula. Korea has many, many beaches because it's a peninsula. It's covered on 3 sides with ocean, but I love Jeju Island. I've only been there once, but it was so magical because it was still, when I went, it was still kind of raw. It hadn't been very developed. And so you could still walk down beaches that people hadn't yet really discovered. And so it kind of felt like you were one of the few humans on Earth. As you can tell, I'm stating a theme, which is sometimes I really like being alone. So yes, you kind of felt like you were the first human on the planet or something. It was really neat.
Yeah, I was there too a few years ago.
Oh, that's so neat. I bet it's a lot more developed now with hotels and resorts. It wasn't like that when I went in the early 90s, I think it was. Yeah.
Well, they responded, Jeju is like the Korean version of Hawaii.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting for other questions, if there's other questions, can you tell us a little bit about what's next for you? Any other projects coming up?
Yes. So I have a picture book coming out in 2025. It's actually going to be illustrated by a Korean Australian artist named Myo Yim. So I'm really excited about that one, but it's going to take a while because she's got a lot of projects before she addresses my story. And also I've been at work on a novel for a number of years now, so I hope to get that launched one of these days. It's kind of a travel novel because I love to travel. So it kind of takes place in different areas of the world. So I hope to get that launched one of these days. Please wish me luck.
Is that also for children?
Yeah, that was my question too.
Sorry, what was the question?
Is it also for children?
Oh no, this novel is for grown-ups. But I'm actually very, very interested in writing for middle grade and for young adult as well. I actually love middle grade because I feel like that's the era of my life when I was about 8, 9, 10, when I was just reading all the books that I wanted to read, like, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and just all the books that made my imagination soar. So one of these days I might try to write a middle grade novel.
Oh, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Well, we're hoping the young ones, the 5-year-olds who are listening to this, it'll come out just in time for them to read it as middle graders themselves. Yeah, a lot of people can't wait.
Oh, cool. Now that's giving me more inspiration to get to work on a middle grade novel and anything actually. And I encourage anybody who wants to become a writer to just try. I mean, it took a long while for me to get to where I am. And so a lot of people ask me, well, how did you become a writer? It seems so hard. It does seem so hard. And the whole road to getting traditionally published with a literary agent and with a publishing company, it is quite tough. But you know what? If I had given up, say, 7 years ago, I would not be sitting here talking to everybody. So even if it seems tough, even if you get rejected, just keep trying. It gets better and better. And nobody starts off with a perfect project. It just gets better with revisions.
Well, that's wonderful. So, well, thank you for inspiring us both with that story and with that advice as well, Helena. We just so appreciate it. Last chance for any audience questions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we will keep an eye out and see if we can sneak any in there. But now we are going to ask some rapid fire questions. So this part is just for fun, and it just allows us to learn a little more about you. We're
Okay.
going to ask you these questions pretty quickly and tell us what you prefer. You keep your answer to one sentence. That's the challenge. And
Okay.
the challenge for us is going to be like, but why? Like stop and tell us, like tell us more. But
Okay.
I'm going to try to keep myself to that too, and I know Christine will too. Even though I'm naturally curious. I'm gonna want to know more. I'll just save it until after.
Right.
All right. Are you ready?
I am.
Yay! Would you rather be a cook or baker?
A baker, because people love taking photos of beautiful baked goods before devouring them.
That's true. Would you rather be a bird or a fish?
A bird. Yeah, my nickname is Little Bird, actually. That's my family nickname.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you needed to hide an elephant, where would you do it and why?
In the water. I went swimming with them in Thailand, and they swim so well and they're so quiet, and you would not look for them in the water. They use their trunks as like scuba gear. It's so neat.
Okay. I did not know that about elephants. What's more annoying, soft talkers or loud talkers?
Ooh, I'm gonna pass because I have both in my family, and I feel like they will be offended however I answer. So pass.
All right, we'll go to the next question. Would you rather be in a documentary as the subject or the opponent of the subject?
Probably the subject, because my parents would be more proud that way.
If you could only have one entertainment for one decade, which would it be?
The 90s, before cell phones came on screen and in books and everything. The 90s.
Okay.
If you could be trapped in any book or movie forever, which would it be?
Any movie that features a dragon. I've always loved dragons, like How to Train a Dragon or Lord of the Rings, Smaug, Avatar. They're kind of dragon-like. Yeah.
Who is one person, famous or not, that you would love to sit down with for a long conversation?
It would be my cousin Louise, the one that I wrote about in my article for the LA Times, because we lost her early. She was only in her early 40s when she passed away of a heart condition. So there are so many things that I wish I would have told her that I always thought we would have more time together. That's a long answer. If you read my article, you'll find out more, but that's who I would choose.
Oh, thank you for sharing. And we have someone who snuck in one more question into the comments, and that is, are there any plans to translate your books into other languages?
That's a great question. And I sold my rights to the publishing companies. So it's up to them. I've asked them a few times, but I don't want to pester them too much because it is up to them. So we shall see. I would love for Rosa's song to be in Spanish. And actually, I would love the Paper Kingdom to be in French because the illustrator is French, French American. And I would love the Turtle Ship to be in Korean and Sora's Seashells too. So, we'll see.
Okay, well, if you don't feel comfortable pestering them, I'm sure I can pester
Please
them.
do.
Everyone watching, time to pester the publisher
Yeah,
to get these books translated
that
into
would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be so cool to see your books all across the world.
Yeah, I would love that. I know that the English versions are accessible internationally because I have cousins in South Korea who buy all my books, which is so sweet. So you can access them, the English version, anywhere in the world. But yeah, the translated versions haven't yet come out, so we'll see.
Well, here's hoping one day in the future. Soon.
Yeah, great question.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions? But we did add all your Instagram and all your social media handles, so all you can reach out to Helena through that
For sure.
as well. So, okay, thank you so much, Helena, for joining us today. And everyone, we hope you enjoyed this conversation with our author, Helena Ku Rhee. Please remember to visit lapl.org/events to see more of our amazing programs. And check the Your Author landing page for our next author program next Friday at 4 p.m., which is when you'll get to listen to our author, Laurel Snyder.
We also want to mention that the Los Angeles Public Library's Summer Reading Challenge will be starting on June 5. For more information, visit lapl.org/summer. Until next time, we appreciate all your support. The success of all our library programs could not happen without viewers like you. So thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.